to remove the style, titles and honours of Prince Andrew.
The 4 children of Queen Elizabeth, all born princes and princess.
The biggest detail in all of this is not only that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has been pushed out of Royal Lodge, but where he has landed instead. His new short-term base, Farm Cottage, is one of the most quietly unsettling royal homes that exists. It's a place the family has often used to move people aside when they become uncomfortable, inconvenient, or simply easier to ignore. Andrew's exit from Royal Lodge happened suddenly, and according to several reports, under cover of night. There were no farewells, no public goodbyes, no gradual handover. One night he was still at the grand property inside Windsor Great Park, and the next he had vanished. For someone who lived there for decades, raising his daughters and hosting friends, the departure was unusually fast. Until very recently, Andrew had been living at Royal Lodge with his ex-wife, Sarah Ferguson. Their setup was often described as friendly, even warm. Sarah once famously called them the happiest divorced couple in the world. Even after splitting in the early 1990s, they continued living under the same roof, a situation that raised eyebrows but was accepted within the family for years. Eventually, that acceptance ended. By late last year, pressure inside the palace had clearly reached breaking point. Reports say Andrew wanted to stay at Royal Lodge longer. Instead, he was told the situation could not go on. The call is believed to have come from King Charles III, Andrew's older brother, who has been steadily pulling the monarchy away from Andrew since taking the throne. Andrew has always denied wrongdoing, and the palace has repeatedly stressed that he is no longer a working royal. Even so, being removed from Royal Lodge was a major escalation. This was not only about public image. It was about control of royal property, appearances, and the quiet redrawing of family lines. Royal Lodge itself matters here. It is not just a house, but a statement. The 30-bedroom mansion sits inside Windsor Great Park and was once the home of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. Andrew took over the lease in the early 2000s after major renovations, reportedly costing millions. For years, it symbolized his continued closeness to royal privilege. Even after stepping back from official duties, losing Royal Lodge was never going to go unnoticed. Andrew's next stop, Farm Cottage, could not be more different. Set on a remote part of the Sandringham estate in Norfolk, it is a 5-bedroom property with views over farmland toward the sea. It is calm, hidden, and deliberately out of the way. While it may seem pleasant by normal standards, in royal circles it has long been seen as a place for those who no longer fully belong at the center. Wood Farm is not unfamiliar to Andrew or to Sarah Ferguson. In fact, it is tied to some of the most uncomfortable chapters of their shared past. In August 1992, only months after Andrew and Sarah announced their separation, photos emerged that caused a scandal. Sarah was pictured on holiday in France with her American financial advisor, John Bryan. The images showed her lying on a deck chair while he appeared to kiss and suck her toes. The backlash was instant and brutal. Prince Philip, in particular, was said to be furious. Reports at the time claimed he felt the photos humiliated the family. As a result, Sarah was banned from attending the traditional Christmas celebrations at Sandringham later that year. However, she was not completely shut out. A compromise was made. Sarah spent Christmas at Farm Cottage with her daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. The girls were allowed to attend festivities at Sandringham House with the rest of the family, while their mother stayed at the nearby cottage. Even then, Farm worked like a form of royal exile. Close enough to monitor, far enough to keep out of sight. That role goes back far earlier than the 1990s. Farm is strongly linked to one of the most quietly tragic stories in royal history, the life of Prince John, the youngest son of King George V and Queen Mary. Prince John was born in July 1905, the 6th and youngest child in a high-profile royal family. From early on, it was clear he was different. Relatives described him as fragile and slow. By age 4, concerns were already being raised about his development. In 1909, Prince John suffered his first epileptic seizure. Over time, his condition worsened. Modern historians and medical experts believe he may also have had a severe form of autism, though that was not understood or diagnosed at the time. In his early years, John appeared occasionally in public with his family. He was photographed with his siblings and attended some official events. However, he did not go to his parents' coronation in 1911, and by 1913, his public appearances had almost completely stopped. No official portraits of him were commissioned after that point. Instead, Prince John was quietly removed from view. He was sent to live at Farm Cottage under the care of his nanny, Charlotte Bill, who was known in the family as Lala. There he lived a protected life away from London, court life, and the press. According to royal biographer Dennis Judd, Prince John became, in his words, a satellite with his own small household on the edge of the Sandringham estate. He enjoyed simple things. He kept chickens, spent time outdoors, and received regular visits from his grandmother, Queen Alexandra, who reportedly had a small garden planted for him. For the family, Wood Farm became an answer. Prince John could be looked after privately without the scrutiny that came with royal life. For the public, he largely vanished. Christmas Day 1918 would be Prince John's last. He spent the day with his family at Sandringham House, joining the celebrations before returning to Wood Farm that evening. Less than a month later, on January 18, 1919, he died in his sleep after suffering a severe seizure. He was 13 years old. At the time, newspapers reported his death with reverence and restraint. One article described his face as carrying an angelic smile. His epilepsy was mentioned publicly for the first time, though details were limited. From a modern view, isolating Prince John at Wood Farm seems cruel. However, experts have explained that attitudes toward epilepsy in the early 20th century were very different. According to the British Epilepsy Society, people with epilepsy were often removed from public life and treated as mentally ill. Families, including royal ones, believed they were acting in the best interests of both the person and society. Despite its sad history, Wood Farm later became a beloved retreat for Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip. According to royal biographer Robert Jobson, the Queen was known to cook meals herself and even wash dishes during her visits. Staff did not wear traditional royal uniforms, and there was no strict hierarchy like at Buckingham Palace or Windsor Castle. Wood Farm felt almost casual, which makes Andrew's stay there feel especially uncomfortable. One friend reportedly said Andrew found the move deeply humiliating. Royal Lodge had been his home for decades, filled with family memories. Leaving quietly at night allowed him to avoid attention and the emotional burden of a public exit. Andrew's arrival at Sandringham has reportedly been met with mixed reactions. Royal household staff have been told they are not required to serve him if they feel uneasy. According to one source, several staff members have already refused. There are also reports that many of Andrew's long-serving Windsor staff will not be relocating to Norfolk. Some have worked with him for years, but do not want to continue under the new situation. As a result, Andrew may soon find himself with very limited support. What is clear is that Andrew's world has shrunk. Each move from Royal Lodge to Wood Farm, and soon to Marsh Farm, pushes him further from the heart of royal life and deeper into the margins. Wood Farm has long been a place where uncomfortable chapters are quietly handled. It housed a forgotten prince, sheltered an embarrassed duchess, and now acts as a temporary refuge for a man who was once close to the center of the monarchy. So here is the question I will leave you with. Do you think this is truly just a temporary stop? Or once Andrew settles into Wood Farm, will history quietly repeat itself? Let me know your thoughts. And if you want to stay up to date on the latest royal developments, make sure you're subscribed.